What's going on, everybody? Chase with Ayden Hockey, joined today with Ayden, Performance Lab Manager here at CCM Hockey in the Performance Lab in Montreal. We have the first edition of the Vizion Stick in front of us. I really want to talk about the backstory on what everyone was talking about, that upper handle shape, but just from a design concept, where did the vision originate and how are we seeing that into the stick, specifically the handle?
So yeah, great question. Years ago when we were doing some research, we came across a player who had a very unique knob, and we would see different patterns and different tapes, right? So different grip textures and colors. But we saw some knobs that were really large and thick at the top, and we said, how can that actually be beneficial or advantageous for someone's game? And so one of our little side projects at the time was to explore what we call top hand or top shaft shape research. So we would explore with different thicknesses of geometries to understand how that would impact someone's performance, right? So if you think about gripping, I grip a bottom shaft, but my hand size is different than someone else's, and yet the senior shaft geometry is very similar. So we wanted to understand how the interaction between a palm and a finger would benefit something for increasing grip control, okay? So we did a lot of research looking up what's called human factors, more so in the ergonomics realm, to optimize something that would increase tactile sensation, right? So having that wrap where your fingers are, where it ribs out a little bit more, but also then what are the impacts of that to increase grip strength or the ability to move the stick left and right a little bit faster or shoot the puck harder. And all of a sudden we came up with our stick CAD designer various shapes, and we tested a lot of these. So they were actually at first as end plugs. We would insert those and we had issues where they'd be falling out left and right, and we figured out some really nice prototypes, and we had different geometries, and we found the ones that were optimal that would allow for greater puck speed and better appreciation from players. And so that's sort of the birth of that idea or concept. And then the stick team took that and injected it into a product and had to do a really nice seamless job of transitioning and making that taper really smooth. So it was just an idea was born, and we started to really go down and to try to explore and understand how can we leverage and see if there's really a benefit to that.
So from that first iteration to the final product that we've seen and that everyone has talked about online and in store, that's incredibly unique and comfortable shape. You mentioned two things that stood out to me. It was the control, and you mentioned sensation. To me, that's more of like a confidence or a comfortability for the hands.
Yeah.
So comparing that to a traditional, let's just say a T-shaped, because that's what sticks have traditionally been forever. How is this different, and how have you been able to test and validate, the confidence, the control? You even mentioned puck speed. How have you been able to do that in the Performance Lab?
Yeah, so it's quite straightforward for us. We implement this in our motion capture setup we have here, all the cameras you see around, and we're able to quantify different performance metrics. So we can really see advantages of the Vizion. Having a very strong top firm hand allows for greater pulling back when you're shooting the puck, but it also just allowed for that increased shot speed. So we could compare sticks with and without this Vizion or this top shaft geometry or structure, and we would see those performance benefits right away.
And maybe for that player at home that's very interested in this Vizion Stick and the limits that you're pushing from a performance standpoint, but maybe doesn't understand some of those metrics that we're talking about. For that player at home, how would you describe the performance benefit that they'll feel in maybe a little more layman's terms?
Yeah, so you're gonna feel increased volume in your hand right away. And so that might take a bit of an adjustment to get used to, because you're gripping something that's naturally bigger than the regular shaft asymmetrical geometry. So right off the bat, there's a little bit of an adaptation there, but after you start to take a few shots, you're gonna realize that your hand is able to wrap around and contour those fingers around this ridge of the Vizion. That's why it's asymmetrical design, and it's different for left and right hands, right? For that top hand. And you're gonna really start to feel that as you shoot the puck, you're going to have less movement or like what would be slippage, because you'll be have a better and a more firm grip. And that's just going to allow for more control. You're going to feel more in tune with the stick most likely, and it should feel more of like an extension of your arm, if anything.
Yeah, less of an external product and something that's just a part of your shooting motion. Is that kind of a good way?
Exactly, yeah.
And then also, let's just talk about the shape too, just in terms of the actual shape, because you said it's asymmetrical, but I feel like there's a lot of little key details going on as well.
Yeah, so you see, if you look from the top down, you see there's multiple corners in different shapes. That's all driven by different prototypes and designs we tested. So we tested some that were very wide and large. We tested some that were symmetrical and larger. We tested some with different combinations. Really, the way that this grips is to design to fit comfortably within your hand. So whether it's the back side of your hand, you're getting good wrap, the front side, you're getting good wrap there. It just really hugs the stick, so to speak, in a much more natural way than something that's typically more square, although now we see more of the R shapes and those curved cylindrical type of shapes. It still is just a lot more anatomical, this grip.
Yeah, when you kind of hold your hand like you're holding a hockey stick, you don't see a perfect rectangular shape.
Exactly. We don't make a perfect square with our fist, right? But then this type of structure gets a little bit closer to that.
And then last but not least, obviously there's so much excitement for this Vizion Stick. Are we gonna see more products in the future?
Yeah, so the status of the top shaft shape, whether we'll see that or not, we'll have to keep surprises for you guys. But as far as Vizion itself, there's always something about a Vizion line that is exclusive, or it's just that next level innovation where there's something that has a trickle down effect sprinkled into that product, right? It brings something that's already a high-end performance to that next level. So stay tuned to see what that will involve with more CCM products.
Perfect, Ayden. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and walking us through the Vizion Stick, and just for all you've done for pushing the limits of hockey performance.
Awesome, thank you.
And for you at home that want to check out the entire collection from CCM Hockey, make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.